Good morning, and welcome to Ask the Expert. I'm Joe Taylor. This morning, another in the ongoing series of programs presented by the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning. The program, through the Northwest Institute of Research, oversees a grant from the Office of Child Development and Early Learning at the Pennsylvania Department of Public Welfare and the Department of Education. The goal of the program is to improve the outcomes for young children as they prepare for school. John Pozza is a community partner specialist for the program, and he'll be here with us throughout the entire series. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Great.
It's good to be here this morning.
And I see you brought a guest today.
Yes, I'm so pleased this morning that we have Darlene Marshall.
She's an old friend.
Yes. Darlene is the librarian at the Mengle Memorial Library in Brockway, and she oversees the Jefferson County Library System. And, librarians play such an important role in child development, especially in the activities that they have, the children's activities with literacy and learning, and involving the parents in the programming at the libraries. And, Darlene, I wanted to welcome you, first of all, back I know you've done a lot of programs before with Sunny 106 and WCED. We're going to talk today with Darlene about, she's very passionate about modeling behavior, and especially with a lot of the research that's done and some of the things that she is doing at the library that place an emphasis on how important modeling is. So, Darlene, I wanted to ask you, I know you're a real follower of Dr. Jill Stamm and her research on modeling behavior, correct?
Yes, it has played a huge role in how it's changed our library in Brockway. And I want to thank you first for letting me come on the show, and I appreciate this opportunity. And as soon as I saw the opportunity, you got an email from me because this is how passionate I am. And when I think back, when I was just reviewing why am I passionate, I realized that reading was modeled to me, and if I hadn't been taken to libraries and reading modeled, I wouldn't realize how valuable that was today when I know the research. And a few years ago, I was with Leslie Barr-Swope. She moved from my library in Brockway up to St. Mary's, and she's going to be on your next show, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we were at an early learning forum where we heard Dr. Jill Stamm speak. And she was amazing. She talked about how dyslexia is preventable. And when you hear that dyslexia is preventable, you go, wow, this is something that we can do something about. And it affects 1 of every 5 children, so 10 million in America alone. And dyslexia is actually an auditory problem, not a visual problem. And Dr. Jill Stamm, maintains that it is completely preventable. And so upon hearing that, we thought, our community needs to know this. And she wrote a book, and so her book is called Bright from the Start, and we promoted this book throughout our community, and we have taken steps to implement some of the easy things that you can do to help children learn in homes. And a lot of it goes back to modeling. Modeling, if you think about it, if I look at a child anymore, I look at a child and I go, who did they see doing that? Who did they hear saying that? And that's led us at Brockway to write a grant. We've written a few grants. We have had quite a few on early learning programs. But our most recent one is a Family Place grant where we are promoting 1, 2, 3 Grow With Me programs that we have just completed in September here, 2 sessions of 5-week sessions that help parents just understand some easy things they can do to help children learn and how intervene if there is an issue like something like dyslexia.
Darlene, can I ask you a question? How would a parent know that perhaps their child is on the road, so to speak, to dyslexia, so that it would be preventable? I mean, would there be signs before intervention takes place?
Yes. I can't speak specifically because I have no experience on dyslexia myself, but basically when we model to children and we model a book, they are getting exposed. And so they are exposed to reading a book. They're exposed to hearing. It builds their vocabulary. And when you are spending face time with children, you pick up more on things that a child should be able to do. And in our 1, 2, 3 Grow With Me programs, what we're trying to focus is on the skills that these children should have at specific ages.
Which would indicate to the parent then that perhaps there is a problem.
Right. And we're bringing in professionals. The 5-week program that we're doing, basically, the first week they get introduced to the librarian and resources that the library has. The second week, we might have a health specialist or a speech specialist or a music specialist, because music is very important for children. And so we bring in a professional who, the kids, it's a play-based program, so the kids are just playing, and then the parents have the opportunity to talk to a professional one-on-one and ask questions about their child. And, I've heard one parent talk about, is it normal for my child to eat these type of foods and not like these type of foods? But they also talk about, any issue they might have that they see, and they can talk one-on-one to a professional. So I'm not a professional on child development. I'm a librarian, so I'm just bringing the two together in an open environment where they can learn and find someone that they can ask questions.
Darlene, we've mentioned Dr. Jill Stamm, and of course, folks who follow child development know of Dr. Stamm, and I'm going to do my utmost to one day hopefully have her on our program, maybe at a later date. But in her book, Right from the Start, she mentions that our mirror neurons are activated when we are imitating what someone else is doing, okay? That is so critically important because even listening to someone describe how to do something will activate your mirror neurons. And so when we talk about modeling behavior, even when someone, for instance, as adults, when someone yawns, we tend to yawn, or when someone is joyful or sad, those neurons activate the other person to follow that same type of behavior. And that is so critically important when we talk about modeling behavior with children, correct?
Yes. Whenever I see a child and I see them do something, I was recently with a young girl, and we spent a lot of time reading, and then all of a sudden she sat on a ball and she balanced on that ball. So I went to the professionals I was talking to you about before my program, and I said, is this normal for a 2-year-old to do this? And they're like, nope, that's not very normal. We would like to know the other things that this child can do. And I was very impressed that this child could balance herself on a ball. Now, I've been trying to figure out who modeled that to her. And there are so many things. My niece is a prime example. She sees something, she does that. Right now, her joy is to take all of her toys and put them in a little stroller and push them around. Well, who has she seen doing that? And at the library, we see a lot of that type of thing happening. We did a building project, and we added a preschool room on because we learned the importance of the social aspect of being exposed to playing with other children and how play was important to the development of the child. We think, they can go to the park to play. Well, you can't go to the park every day to play. And when you're exposed to playing at the library, you're exposed to books and an environment of caring. And those kids don't want to leave. And a lot of times they go out kind of like protesting. And that's a good thing because that means they want to spend time there. But they also, we had a train table at first. And those kids came and they got comfortable there. And the parents would tell me, we bring our child here to get comfortable. It relaxes our children. And since then, when we opened the preschool room, we added a kitchen. And I thought, okay, the building was closed for the kids for a little while. They only had access to books, so they're going to go right to the train table. The boys came in, they saw the train table, they headed for the train table, and then they saw the kitchen. And they bypassed the train table. And every one of them, every one of these boys, I'm looking at them going, why did you bypass the train table for a kitchen? Now we have a little nicer model than you might have in your home, but they love it. And then when they're cooking, they don't want to just cook by themselves. They want to know what their vegetables they're using. And, some of those vegetables, I have to figure out what they are, like eggplant or... So, they want to know, and they want you to share. They want to make sure their parents or other kids or you talk to them. And you're modeling a discussion. Because kitchens are off limits to kids.
Going back to the idea of mimicking their parents, do parents, do they really understand how closely their children are watching them and the importance of their own behavior?
No.
So what can you do to make them more aware of that?
Well, we're trying to educate them, and thanks to this opportunity for this show, because we can, say that what you do, even what I hear kids say, I think they heard somebody say that.
Good and bad, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So my parents, if I think about my home environment, my parents modeled reading. We didn't have a television, and they modeled going to church. And if you look at their life and you look at mine, I do the same things. We were hard workers. We read. I have to limit my reading because I love to read. And if I sit down with a book, I will not do anything else because I love reading. Well, the thing we would do is every 2 weeks we go to the library and we got a stack of 50 books. And I had a twin sister, so she got a stack of 50 books. So we had 100 books to read, between us. And then my parents and my brothers got books. And we were always reading, but we didn't have a television. So I was thinking about this before I came on your show about modeling. And my nephew used to come to my house, and we never had the TV on. When the kids were visiting, we wouldn't have the TV on. And one day the TV must have been on, and he said to me, "Is your TV fixed?" And I said, "What do you mean is my TV fixed?" He said, "Well, it was broke." And I thought, my TV was never broke. And then I realized I never modeled watching TV to my nieces or nephews. And back in those days, I didn't think anything of it. And if I go into my home, I do not turn the TV on. And I don't think anything of that. But if my husband comes into our home, he prefers to have the television on. And I really prefer the days when we don't ever turn the TV on, because it was modeled to me never to watch TV. And TV sucks your time. And that also goes over into now we have these devices like iPads and all these technology devices. And so we model to kids, instead of reading books or papers or newspapers, we model a technology device. And think what that child is seeing. They don't know what you're doing. So I was with a child and I had an iPad, and I made sure the child knew that I was reading. Because then they knew that I was reading, doing the same thing they were doing with a book, and so that they would understand that reading is important. And I know parents don't realize. I see so much of what kids do. And one example is we had a mother at the library, and she uses a cell phone. So her daughter always wanted to use a phone and use her cell phone. So the mother thought, oh, okay, I'll get her a phone. So she went and got her a Fisher-Price rotary phone on wheels. Now, that would be in my day. Right, yeah. That wasn't in her child's day. And so her child would pull that around by the cord and never had the concept that that was a phone. And so basically, whenever I think about it, my niece would not go and do a rotary phone. She wants a cell phone. She believes when she calls me that I can see what she's doing. So she'll say, "Watch me." And I'm glad we're not to the point where we can watch what they're doing on the cell phone yet. But she's like, "Watch me." And that's only for my own personal reason. I don't want everybody to see me, whatever I'm doing. But, kids are growing up thinking they're always seeing you. And so I just realized that we model all the time, and the behaviors are so important.
And of course, the play is so critical. Susan Lin, who's a psychiatry instructor at Harvard Medical School, says a growing concern of preschool teachers is that I'm talking to is that children are coming to preschool not even knowing how to play. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about that. And she cites mounting evidence that a significant amount of time spent in front of a screen, whether it's watching television, playing video games, or even participating in educational software, which we think is good, but also is contributing to attention deficit disorder, obesity, bullying, even poor standardized test scores. these are all part of her research and an article that was in the USA Today on high-tech children's play and how Tots toys mimic adult gadgets. So it's really important. It's hard to believe that kids don't have enough, are not actually participating in true play, but that is so critical to learning and being ready for school.
Right. It's an exploratory experience where we, in our 1, 2, 3 Grow With Me programs, what I found is we have a table that was more for art. We have all these playthings. Well, the one time we traded out for a rice bin where they could just play in that. And they love that. It's kind of like sand, but it's not as messy. And they just love to play in that and explore. And they love all the other toys. They love to push the vacuum. They love to push the shopping cart. They love to play with the little kitchen we have. They love to go on the balance beam, or we have like this little butterfly that kind of balances. And so you get on that and stand on that to see if you can actually stay on it, and there's a tunnel you crawl through, and all these fun toys that they have, and they play with those, and they go wholeheartedly at play. And you take all your tables and chairs out so that the parent has to realize they have to get down and play with the kids. Our biggest problem this year with the program when we implemented is we had adults with 2 kids, and then you only have you try to have an adult with each child, and then you have these 2 kids and they want someone to play with, and the parent can't be in 2 places at once. And for the babies, we have other more exploratory toys that, they can play with and use that are just more on their level, or building blocks and things that they can use. And so the parents learn the importance of playing with the child. And all of us model that playing to those parents. Well, they also have the opportunity to talk to a professional.
We're using the word play, but don't you really mean for a child, this is really work and learning, right?
Yes.
It's not frivolous.
Right.
We think of it as, they're just playing.
Right.
A lot more going on there, right?
Yes, a huge amount of things are going on there that I couldn't even touch today. And maybe when Leslie's on, she'll talk about that a little bit with you, of how important that play at work is, because they are learning so much. And it's a skill that we think of as just fun.
And what about the socializing aspect of it, too? Because if kids are sitting home just in front of a screen, solitary, even if there's another kid sitting there looking at another screen, they're not really interacting.
Right.
And how important is that?
It is very important. When parents are doing laundry or anything they're doing, they need to include that child, because a child can learn how to sort socks and colors and counting, basic, very small things that they can learn from the adult that when it's demonstrated. And it's the same as when we talk and read to kids, playing is important because, like you said, they're socializing, but that talking and reading develops their brains and it helps them grow, and that is when they're like a sponge. They're absorbing so much.
Yeah, and I did wanted to mention that, of course, there's such an interesting conversation, and if folks listening have questions that they want to pose, we do have an email line set up. It's you just send your question to questions@nwirkey.org. That's Northwest Institute of Research, and the key is for Keystone Stars, but it's questions@nwirkey.org. And we will, on the following programs, we will read those questions and respond to them appropriately.
Can I ask you a question that people might be wondering? You've made reference to the book Bright from the Start. Now, is that a book that a parent or a grandparent, a lay person could buy and understand and benefit from?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. The library, our Brockway library, has multiple copies.
Okay,
so
great.
Visit us and borrow a copy. But it is a wonderful book that teaches simple ways. One of the things we focused on is things that you could do at home at no cost. Very simple things. And we also have a program that we run during the school year that is a family development program, basically, to help the parents realize the simple things that they can do with their child that really isn't no cost, but that the child can learn and have fun at the same time.
Yes, and I can tell you that reading obviously is also critically important, And we're on our next program, Leslie Swope from St. Mary's Library, who used to work with you, Darlene, will be coming in, and we're gonna get more involved in the literacy aspect and how, especially with parents working with their children, reading books and regularly. Routine, of course, is extremely important in positive reinforcement. Repetition, so critically important. And so it will kind of be like a follow-up to our discussion this morning. So we're looking forward to that as well.
Going back to something you said earlier regarding videos and things that kids are watching now, I grew up in the era of Ding Dong School and that type of thing, and my kids, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and then Sesame Street. And now when you look at Nick or Nick Jr., bang, 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 these things are just flying by. In the study that this woman mentioned that you referenced, were there any positives to anything that's being done in terms of television or video for children?
I don't remember specifically, but I think that we all have a positive impact and we don't realize it. I look at my little niece who is 5 and she just started off to school, and I was saying to my husband, I need more time, and he was telling me a little story about her getting on the bus and telling her mom, it's okay, I just am going off to school and it'll be good when I get home, we just need a little time alone. And I'm thinking, who did she hear say we need some time alone? But it's like one of those things where we don't realize. And like one day I was talking to her and she wanted the swing down, and I said, no, the car's there on the porch, you can't have the swing down. And she started to reason. She started to say, well, you can move the car. And I thought, now where did she learn that I could move the car so she could get the swing down? Well, she saw somebody do it when she wanted the swing another time. And there's so much that we can do, and we need to think about, do we pay attention to these kids? Do we make them feel important? Do we encourage them? Do they see us reading? Because if they don't see us reading, they're not going to do it. And I was recently talking to our county commissioner of Jefferson County, and he was talking about the drug issues we have, and I got to thinking, well, I want to model reading, but other people might be modeling drugs or something else in their home, and the kids grow up thinking that's acceptable. And we can't model poor behavior. We got to model good behavior. Do they see us being nice to other people? What do they see us saying to other people? And I find it very important. I've seen some young men grow up at our library, and I find it very important to see that I could walk them down to a local business and say, these guys need a job, and I know they don't do drugs, and I know that they are polite. And that makes a difference when I see kids grow up who love the library, and they want to be there, and that they're good kids, and that they're polite.
Well, John, we have time maybe for one more question if you have one.
Well, I just wanted to say that, I said this before, it's no secret, 90% of brain development occurs before the age of 5. And modeling behavior is so critically important that, children at that young age are like sponges. They are absorbing everything that they are witnessing around them. And so what parents are doing in front of their children is extremely important. They're learning and picking up on more than we realize. But I guess, Joe,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that, unless did you have
No,
something?
I think we're just about out of time. Thank you, Darlene. And of course, thank you, John. That's our program for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks at the same time. In the meantime, you can go online to learn more at papromiseforchildren.com. That's papromiseforchildren.com. For John Pozza and the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning, I'm Joe Taylor. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.